So what would be the perfect winter stockpile for feeding St. Croix sheep through the winter? St. Croix sheep is one of the few sheep breeds that still does better on grass than it does on grain. Almost every other sheep breed has been selected based on how fat it gets off grain, and St. Croix is a little different. So you don't want to feed grain to your St. Croix sheep. You want to select the fattest animals that do well on grass for reproduction and let them breed. And you want to cull the skinny ones that don't do well on grass. So you want to keep your St. Croix sheep optimized for grass feeding. So what about a winter stockpile? Here's a section of my farm that I let grow up since about July of the last year. And the grass is good and thick. And the sheep are coming in and they're trying it out because they hadn't been in there for a while. But then 5 minutes later, they walked right back out the gate. They just weren't interested. It didn't seem to have any value to them that I'd set aside this winter stockpile area. So what happened? So after the snow melted, when I looked at my winter stockpile field, it looked like all the tall grass I'd let grow up since last July was dead. There was no real value to it. If anything, it was shading the green grass that was below it. So while this area might have had value in like October and November, but by January and February, it was totally worthless. If anything, it was in the way of trying to grow back the green grass that might start sprouting back up again. And honestly, I'd never heard of winter stockpile until the last few years on YouTube. I'd never even heard of it. It was never a thing when I was growing up. And this paper by the University of Massachusetts tells you, yeah, you can do it, but it's known that the digestibility of stockpile grasses out on the ground, they'll decline over the winter. And so it's best suited just to maintain sheep, dry cows and cattle, but not high-producing animals. So if you got babies being born in the winter and mama's lactating, she's got to produce milk, how's she going to do it? She doesn't have enough energy trying to scrape through the snow to get at something. And plus, what are these babies going to do? They can't scrape through the snow. The snow's hard-packed here. I don't see how this is going to work. No, the correct answer is to have round bales out there that mama and the babies can get around, that can provide protection, that mama can eat all through the winter. And people have been providing hay to animals for centuries, because this is how it works. This has been going on since the beginning of time. You give hay to your animals in the winter if there's snow on the ground. And so this new idea about a winter stockpile under the snow, that's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. Because if you've got enough hay on the ground to do winter stockpiling, you got enough hay to bale. Why not just bale it? People have been baling hay for centuries and for good reason. And if you look at all your farmers, all the professional farmers, they're cutting and they're raking and they're baling hay. They're not just out doing a winter stockpile. We never heard of winter stockpile. I'm 68 years old, and I've never heard of it until the last 10 years. Now, a fall stockpile, I can understand that because the grass is good up until like October, November. But once you get into December and into January, it gets so cold, it just blasts the grass, and the grass has no real nutrition. And it's just crazy. You just need to bale your hay like everybody else does and buy it. So what's the best way to get hay? Well, you don't want to pay for it from somebody because they're just going to spray it with chemicals and herbicides and pesticides. You need to lease the hay field. And then you can either pay somebody to come by and cut it for you, or you can go in on shares. You give them half and you get half. And that comes out to be pretty economical. So I rent 30 acres in hayfield, and I get these farmers come by and cut it, and I split the hay with them, and I rent the hayfields for $1,200, and I end up with 40 bales of hay. So that comes out to $30 a bale because I'm paying the guy cutting my hay with the hay I produce. So it's really just the cost of the lease itself is all I got to pay. And since I have control over the hay field, the hay I feed my animals is 100% organic. It's never been sprayed with herbicides or pesticides or glyphosates or anything else. And so I know the sheep are getting just the best food possible. And it's also a lot cheaper. One round bale can take a ewe all the way through the winter. That's what I found. If I have like 40 head of sheep or 50 head of sheep, I get 40 to 50 bales of hay, and I'm good. I don't have to feed them any grain, and they're perfect through the winter. And so this is much cheaper than feeding grain through the winter. Just one bag of a 50-pound bag of organic grain for sheep is like $25. So that's almost like one of these hay bales. And if you get the cheap stuff that's been sprayed with glyphosate, well, that's a whole different market. You know, if you're getting cheap stuff down at the co-op, it's still going to be $10 a bag or $8 a bag. And it doesn't, I doubt, 2 or 3 bags can take an animal all the way through the winter. Yeah, this hay will do it. The other thing is I can feed hay year-round to my animals, and they'll do well with that. That kind of gives me a buffer. So if I have a drought or I have some other problem during the year and there's these hay bales sitting out there, they can go over and eat anytime they want to. They can also eat the green grass, but if there's no green grass, they've got something. And that buffer lets me deal with my stocking rate later. That is, I'm not going to be confined where I've got to sell a bunch of animals because I'm in the middle of a drought because everybody else is trying to sell. I've got hay bales sitting out there, which let the animals slide right through a drought until the grass picks back up again. And so this is a real boon. It's a real profit to me. The other thing I do is I put my hay bales where I'm going to have my garden. So I put the hay bales and they eat in the winter, and it makes this humus that comes out and makes the best garden you've ever seen. So in March, when all the hay bales have been eaten, this whole area is now one of the best garden places you could ever have. It's covered in hay. It's all organic hay, and it's covered in sheep poop. So it's got the carbon-nitrogen ratio to break down it into humus. And if you're a gardener, you'll realize this is black gold. This is the best type of thing you could have for a garden. The hay has killed all the other weed seeds. If you don't till it and you do no-till, then you can plant whatever you want to in it. It's going to grow like crazy. It's 100% organic. The hay is organic. The sheep are organic. There's no chemicals in this. You can plant right in it. And you don't have to weed because the hay, you just pull back the hay and plant wherever you want to. And you don't have to mulch. It's already mulched. You don't have to water because it's holding in the water for you. This is the perfect solution for an organic garden. So that's why feeding round bales to my sheep is the perfect winter stockpile. I get not only healthy sheep, and I get organic sheep. I also get organic food, an organic garden that takes almost no effort. And it's almost like the garden is the reason I have the sheep and the hay is so I can get the garden to grow my crops. Well, thanks for watching the video.